Well, brain signals today, we're talking about longevity. Everybody wants to talk about longevity, but what is the other end of that? What is the cost of waiting too long when physical symptoms, mental symptoms, all kinds of symptoms, mobility symptoms, they start showing up? So, yes, we want to live a long time, but what about that quality? What is that quality? What happens when we kind of wait? Maybe we're waiting to get a cognitive evaluation, or we're waiting to check out why my mobility isn't about the same, or are we waiting too long? So we're going to actually look at some of these issues right now. So what is happening in the older adult world? And let's just start with cognition. So individuals, adults who wait, when they begin to see some impairment in their memory, impairment in their word choices, impairment in the flow of their language, there is a significant cost to that delay. And by the time they actually do see a care provider, it may be one stage further than what it was at the very beginning. And then when we kind of think about mobility and waiting to address those changes, am I really just dragging my foot? Was that just a careless stumble? What happens when I don't follow up, when I don't take a step forward in going ahead and getting evaluated? Many have actually looked at this data, and it turns out that once again, we're way down the road when we delay. And it may again be almost a year out from where we could have been if we had taken action right away. And then there's the mental and social health, is that kind of staying home, and maybe I don't go to parties, and maybe it's too much energy to go out to coffee with somebody. That is a subtle sign that probably needs to be addressed. And in that delay, it actually has a financial impact. Some have estimated that the delay in the older adult world, whether it's memory, whether it's mobility, whether it's social inappropriateness or withdrawal, may actually be costing $50,000 to $100,000 more when we delay, because when we enter the health system, we begin to actually look at what is the issues? Why does this cost more? Well, first of all, when you do finally have to go into a memory center or a care facility of some sort, you come in at a higher level. Therefore, it actually costs more. And if we go in early, we can actually then possibly eat better, and we can possibly have physical therapy to kind of help with our emotion, and we can actually think better. We can socialize better because we're with other people. So these are the points that we're trying to make, is that don't delay. Go ahead, and when you find symptoms that are starting to appear, do something. Have somebody help you. Find a provider. Go with you. And here's some possible signs that you might actually be looking for. So in the cognition, what happens when you kind of repeat questions? Like, what was that if you told me to buy on Amazon? I just forgot. You had just been told just a moment before. And maybe actually sequencing tasks. Let's see, do I put the toothpaste in the drawer now, or do I use the toothpaste and put it on the toothbrush before I put it in the drawer? So maybe just some behavior changes that are you're misplacing things. And then, of course, withdrawing from conversation is an important sign that we need to actually seek help. Well, that's in the cognition area. Let's now look at the mobility issue. Have you noticed when you're in a group of people, older, younger, middle-aged, and so on, the middle-aged and younger people, when they want to get up from a chair, they just get up. And then you notice older people are now starting to use their arms on an armchair or pushing down between the seat to kind of get them a little start. Those rising from chair is an important sign that we probably need to get some evaluation. And then maybe that stride, that wonderful stride that you had when you were 24, you could just cover the block in no time. But now that stride is getting shorter. That's really an important step in this understanding. And maybe it's just plain old stiffness, needing to kind of stretch. There's some discomfort in the joints, and those are all signs that we may need some evaluation. And then when we come to actually the emotional part of life, and we find that we're kind of, well, we might call it lazy, we might call it torpor, we might call it, I just don't want to move. Those are important things that we need to look at. And maybe we're eating expired food when the salad is now a little mushy. Maybe it's time to think about, when did I actually buy that lettuce or that kale or that broccoli? And then possibly even around the home becomes increasingly cluttered. Those may be signs that we need to get some additional evaluation, additional help. It's not weak. It's not that it's not important. We need to be evaluated when we need to be evaluated. So this is where we kind of begin to say, okay, where do we go? What do we do next? But now, right now, you have the story of when to start looking for assistance.